Hi everyone, it is week 2, and in week 2 we have a new assignment. It's the first of 4 that will be due on Sunday, June 7th, and that is written response number 1. So I wanted to take some time in this video to discuss this response with you and stress some key things that I'm looking for when you submit this assignment. So on the screen here, I have the overview of the written responses, which you can find on page 8 of the syllabus. This is the sentence I want to draw your attention to in this description. Each is an academic response that explores your engagement with the text that we have read for that week. It is really important when you are thinking about planning this response that you're really thinking about what we've read for that assigned week. So for week 2, we are reading Flotsam and Where the Wild Things Are. You also have assigned articles in UB Learns that you will use to support this response, and you can also reference chapters 3 and 4 from the Galda et al. Text. It's really important that you're thinking about the readings for that specific week, especially because this is a brief response. You're only going to write 1 to 2 pages. You're not to exceed 2 pages, and that can be really challenging. So it's really important to keep in mind what exactly we read for the week. If you have an itch to really make a connection to something we've read in the previous week, and as we continue to do these in the previous weeks, make the connection, but make sure that it's purposeful, again, because of that page limit. Another key thing I want to draw your attention to in this description is you should analyze a theme, motif, writing style, and reference at least one academic reading. So I briefly just covered that you want to use and incorporate the articles article that you've read for that week. You can reference the previous week's article if that will support your position. So think about a theme, motif, or writing style that is really apparent in the children's literature that has been selected for the week. And how are you going to take a position on that? What do you want to say about that theme or motif or writing style? I'm now going to move to Appendix C so we can take a closer look at the guidelines here. So Appendix C is found on page 12 of your syllabus. First thing we're looking for when we're writing these responses is evidence of thoughtful reading of the literature for that week. So you've really spent some time to think about, well, what is apparent in these picture books? What do I want to talk about? And how am I going to show that? I've really spent some time thinking about that. Those are the questions you want to ask yourself. The second thing is, and this is really important, you want to take a position. And please remember that a position doesn't mean that you have to be for what the books say or what the article said. You can argue against things. You can take a position that's against what's being said or what's being shown. You can challenge yourself in that way too. So I encourage you to really think about, take a critical look at what you've read. Do I agree with it? Do I really want to take a stance that supports what's being said? Or do I want to use what I've read and take a stance that would go in a different direction? And again, I really encourage you to do that. Think critically. You're not going to summarize these books. You're not going to summarize the article that you read. You're going to take a position, and I can't stress that enough. You're making connections among readings and other class academic readings. And so it's important that you're bringing in the article that you chose to read for this week. If you've read more than one article, you can bring more than one article in. If you want to connect to last week's article that you read, feel free to do that. I just want it to be purposeful. So we're not just adding in evidence, or we're not just pulling in things because it's more things to add. So just be purposeful and thoughtful about how you're using the articles to make the connections very clear and supportive of your position. Please use APA format and do not exceed 2 pages. Your response should be at least 1 page double-spaced. It should not be more than 2 pages double-spaced. You will submit it by 11:59 through UB Learns under the Assignments tab. And that's all on that. I had a brain fart for a minute. Sorry about that. This last bullet here is a bullet that I put for you to know that you are welcome to rewrite responses. So if you would like to receive more feedback after the initial feedback that I've given you and rewrite, maybe to earn a higher grade, or maybe just to flesh out more thoughts, you're welcome to do that. At the end of the semester, no matter how many you've written, I will always put in the highest 4 grades on the responses, okay? The responses also may be a way for you to start exploring ideas that you want to go with or see if they work for your final project. Your final project doesn't necessarily need to be a paper. However, you can use the responses as a way to develop some ideas about where you see your final project going. And we can certainly discuss that more in the individual final project meetings. But I'd also like you to think about these as a way in preparation for that final project. Your discussion posts as well can be a way to think about your final projects. Guidelines for the third response, you can take a look at these if you haven't already. They are there, just a couple other things may be added, because I'm going to be giving you a prompt for the third response. So that's a couple of weeks away, and at that time, I will review this and just go over any clarifying details that might be different for the third response in a couple of weeks. If you have any questions while you are working on this assignment, if things come up, you're just not sure, maybe you would like me to read something as you're working on it, that's totally fine. When things are new and we're going at it for the first time, it always helps to bounce ideas off of someone. And it doesn't necessarily have to be me. If you wanted to reach out to maybe somebody in your discussion leader group and share that way, by all means. But I am available and here for all of you. I look forward to reading your responses. It's very exciting. And I look forward to an awesome week. So take care. I hope you're all well and safe. And if you need anything, if there's any questions, please just reach out.